talk to you about mint and how realistically once you've got your favourite mint plant you don't actually need to be purchasing more and more and more. So this one plant was £1 something from the supermarket, and I've divided it. So if you've already watched the supermarket herbs and how you can actually get some good herbs out of that for £1, great. I'm also going to show you how we propagate from mint. There's two main ways to do it. You can take cuttings and put them directly into water, or you can take cuttings and put them directly into the soil. Okay, so what I want a little close-up of, just so that you can sort of gain a bit of confidence about this. Yeah, it's a supermarket herb, but you can see it was many different plants, and then what you can start to see is that growth. So this is all new growth. Maybe about 3 weeks ago I separated this, but this is the one. I'll take the old leaf away there. But what you can see here is those new shoots coming out. So this is one of the ones that I haven't taken anything from yet. Oh, lovely little beetle. But you can start to see that there are some good opportunities for things to take out. So what I wanted to show you, at the same time as I repotted these, and trust me, you can see where I've taken the cuttings, don't get me wrong, you can see that, but you can also see where I've taken the cuttings, because it's just above a node, that node, which is like where the leaves are doing like the YMCA, that's started to produce new growth, okay? So that's what the nodes do. So this plant is really raring to go. So mint is almost invasive because of that quality, but I personally, I like it in teas and things like that, but I also want to make up little pots so that people can have them for little mojito pots. So I think that's kind of a cute thing to do, especially as I miss all my work colleagues so much, so I'm making them up little mojito ones. So you can see now this, okay, let me just show you. So I use a water bottle like this because where those leaves are, it stops it from going too far into the water. Now realistically I could have probably stripped all of that off and got a little bit more root growth, but maybe that's 2 weeks worth of root growth. So I don't really want much more than that because these are still quite fragile. So when I put them in the dirt or in the compost, I don't really want them to snap off. So sometimes you see them in a great big excessive root growth after maybe 3 or 4 weeks. But that's not what I want. Now this has been kept out of direct sunlight, but you can see when I first took it, it only had 2 pairs of leaves, and now that one's a little bit dead, but it's got new growth there. Okay, so it's, even though, and there it's got new growth, so even though it's been in water, and just water, it's actually growing, not just growing roots, but actually growing as a plant. So let's look at how we do that, shall we? So what I'll do, I'll pick one nice and simple one here. And if I cut it just above that node, I'd like to cut it more at an angle. So let's do that. So it's more of a 45 degrees angle. And then what I'm going to do is strip these lower leaves off. And there's nothing to stop you using those in a cup of tea or something. Personally, when I make tea, I tend to use the fresh buds, and that helps keep the bushiness. So you can see this one has been quite well pruned, and therefore it's getting quite a chunky state to it. Whereas this, I've kind of left just grow upright. I'll talk to you about that later on in another video, but basically I want to create a herbal tea garden. So I like the different heights and sort of the different structure. So we'll look at that in a bit. As I say, so this is only one plant, so just over £1 for this plant. Now I've got those 2 leaves like that. I could have cut it a little bit longer actually, but because it's a relatively new one, I kind of want that to bush out a bit. Now, what I didn't do with this one, I didn't sort of skin it. So you can see all the covering's completely intact. So the root growth is the majority right at the bottom. So actually I think I'd rather take a little bit more off here. And I'll show you how to do that now with the knife. So very gently angle the knife so that it just takes that first layer off. Okay, and only do it on one side. But by doing that, what you're able to create is access to the sort of, I guess, the arteries, because this takes all the moisture up. Okay, so by doing that you're able to give it more opportunity to create roots. Okay, and then like I say, with this bottle, the leaves then stop it sinking, so you can like have plenty of fresh water. I would change that water every 2 days, keep it out of direct sunlight, and just make sure that you check on it, because what you don't want is any signs of damage on the leaves or anything like that. As soon as you do get any damage, let it go. Okay, it's not going to work. in one of my other videos, I show basically how to put holes into plastic without cracking it, which is kind of important. And then I put pebbles in to just give it that little bit of extra irrigation. This is going to sit on my windowsill. So realistically, you can create a herbal tea garden, but inside your house. Okay, so I'm going to put mint in this one today, and then in a couple more days' time, I've got some chamomile that's kind of too small to transplant at the moment, but I'll pop that on the other side. Now, you can see the soil can still escape through the holes, but it's all about drainage. So this compost is maybe 3/4 peat-free, and then 1/4 from our compost heap. Okay, so that means it's got sort of lots of organic material in it. This pot I got from the garden centre earlier on today, probably came in just under £5, I think. So just make sure that's all. Stuff from the compost heap can be a little bit semi-decomposed. Okay, right. So what I thought I'd do, just sort of to show you how to do this, and I don't know if you've got a clear view there, cameraman. Okay, so I'm just going to create a little hole and pop that in so that the roots are covered. Now don't worry that the new growth is sort of underneath the soil, it will break through. Now in theory I don't want those leaves to touch that. And when I water it, I'm going to water to the bottom, I'm not going to water on top. I don't want my foliage to get wet. Okay, I just want the base to get wet. Now because I've used peat-free compost, and I've also used some of my compost, I know it's got a lot of organic matter in it and that will break down a little bit further, but just to be on the safe side, I might give it a liquid feed occasionally, so it could live in this pot for a long time. Mint is going to be quite competitive and quite invasive and almost suffocate anything else that's in there, so I thought just one mint plant would be good. But what I also want to show you, so this is one that's already rooted, it's already growing, I know it's going to be fine, so all I need to do is water it in, and in a couple of days time it'll be well established and you could do the tug test and it's not going to move anywhere, okay, because the roots are there. The other thing I just wanted to show you, you can, and I'll cut just above a node again, there, so those ones will then go on, and you can see it's going to become quite bushy already. Even though I said I wasn't going to, I have destroyed it. So I take those ones off, okay? So I'm still leaving the top leaves, and I've got enough space there. Now, there's a lot of contention about using rooting hormone, or using honey, or I've even seen people using cinnamon, sort of powdered cinnamon. The point of this is a very moist, it's like a softwood green cutting, so I don't want it to go into the soil and rot. But another way I can make sure that that doesn't happen is by making sure that I don't overwater the soil. Okay, so let me just get a little more soil going. So this is a very dry soil. I'm going to use a mister and I'm just going to spritz it. Okay, so I make a little hole with my finger for the cutting to go in. And again, I make sure that there are no leaves close to the soil, so that even when I have misted the soil, it doesn't actually cause it to rot. Now I can cover that in a plastic bag, or I can just transfer it directly to a windowsill that doesn't get direct sunlight. And again, that will grow into a very lovely little mojito plant for me to gift on to my friends. I would suggest keep that going for about 6 weeks. After the first couple of weeks, if you have got it covered, you can take it off because you're going to start to see new growth. And because I picked one that's not flowering, it's not got any signs of ill health or anything like that, I know that this is going to be quite a strong specimen. But realistically, mint will just keep going and going, so there's nothing for you to kind of worry about. This is an ideal beginner's one. The one thing I would say, don't plant it in the ground, okay? So in another video I'm going to show you how you can use mint runners to actually grow new mint plants from, and that's ideal if you're potting it on. So if it has outgrown the pot, which you will do for this one, but when it does outgrow this, I can pot it on and I can actually take many more plants from it. and I think it's always nice to turn up someone's house with a plant or some food. So at least with herbs, then they've got both, haven't they, really? Especially if they can make them into mojitos, so, or even herbal tea, because I like herbal tea as well. So yeah, with this one, it's not too difficult to do, and I hope you can just give it a go. It's the sort of thing you could do with kids, maybe not with a knife, but you could do it with kids and get them to change the water every couple of days. Okay, but if you like the video, please let us know. We're a new channel, so subscribe if you want to as well, and you can see some of the new videos we've got up and coming. Also, obviously, we've got a whole article on this, including different types of mint, because for my money, it's good to get your free sort of growth from the herbs you get from the supermarket, but you can also do this from herbs you've bought from the nursery. So if you've bought something like an apple mint or a spearmint, or even a chocolate after egg mint, you can propagate those just as easily. Okay, so hopefully you can start to grow confidence with your supermarket ones that are sort of £1, £2 a go, and then move on to, even in a nursery, you're looking at £5 or £6, so it's not too big an investment. Yeah, well, thanks ever so much for watching, and I'm hoping for a sunnier day for the next video. But yeah, do please like and subscribe and give it a go, and let us know in the comments how you get on. Thanks, bye.